Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. This is Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today I wanted to discuss this lawsuit that Nene Leakes has filed against NBC Universal, against, Andy Cohen, against Truly Original, against everybody affiliated with Bravo and their parent company and everything else in regards to the racist work environment on Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I wanted to pick this up because there's been a lot of different opinions and different publications that have been speaking to this. And so I wanted to read this particular article that was from the Atlanta news station WSB TV. And so it says the following. It says, former star of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Nene Leakes, sued companies behind the show Wednesday, alleging that they fostered and tolerated a hostile and racist work environment. The lawsuit filed back in federal court in Atlanta says that Nene Leakes, who is black, complained to executives about years of racist remarks from fellow housewife Kim Zolciak-Berman, who is white, but that only Leakes suffered consequences. It names defendants as NBC, Universal, Bravo, production companies, True Entertainment, Truly Original, executives from the company, and Housewives executives, producer Andy Cohen, but not Zolciak-Berman. NBC, Bravo, and True foster a corporate and workplace culture in which racially insensitive and inappropriate behavior is tolerated, if not encouraged, the suit says. Representatives for NBC Universal declined to comment. Emails sent to representatives for the other defendants and Zolciak-Berman seeking comment were not immediately returned. Leakes 54, a TV personality and actor whose legal name is Lenethia Monique Leakes, spent 7 seasons as one of the central stars of The Real Housewives of Atlanta between 2008 and 2020. It alleges that during the first season, which aired in 2008, the cast was planning to attend a barbecue, and housewife Kim Zolciak-Berman responded to the idea with, quote, words to the effect of, I do not want to sit around Nene and eat chicken. The suit statement perpetuated an offensive stereotype about African Americans. The suit says in 2012, during the 5th season, Zolciak-Berman made racially offensive and stereotypical comments about the new home of housewife Kandi Burruss, calling her neighborhood, quote, the ghetto, and perpetuating a racial stereotype in an offensive comment about whether Burruss needed a swimming pool. That same year, the suit says that Zolciak-Berman used the N-word to refer to Leakes and some of the other housewives. After a dispute with them, the suit also alleges that Zolciak-Berman falsely implied that Leakes used drugs and called her home a roach nest. The suit also says after Leakes' complaints to the executives overseeing the show, they did not want to terminate her relationship with Zolciak-Berman, nor take any other meaningful action to put an end to her racially offensive behavior, and if anything, rewarded her by giving her her own spin-off show. From the day the series began filming, Nene was the target of systemic racism from co-star Kim Zolciak-Berman, which was tolerated by executive producer Andy Cohen and also tolerated by Bravo and other executives. Neek's lawyer David DeRubertis said in a statement. Joe, another Leakes attorney, said via email, not a day goes by that Nene doesn't wake up with an onslaught of overwhelming emotions as a direct result of these unfortunate and avoidable occurrences. The lawsuit alleges that her complaints of racism led in part to Leakes being forced off the show in 2020 before its 13th season. The suit says Leakes negotiations for the season came as the Black Lives Matter movement was gaining major momentum, with Leakes a vocal supporter. Executives sought to sideline Leakes from talking about the cause, keeping her off early episodes in which the housewives would address Black Lives Matter. The suit alleges, as the Black Lives Matter movement swept our nation, Ms. Leakes, Bravo's historically most successful black female talent, should have been embraced by NBC, Bravo, and True. The suit says instead, NBC, Bravo, and True forced her out of the house she built, denying her a regular role. The suit alleges that the defendant's actions violate federal employment and anti-discrimination law, and it seeks monetary damages to be determined at trial. You guys, we've got a lot to react to. So also in the suit, I believe Michelle Brown also said, because I think it's like 97 or 98 pages, they've also mentioned other racist and stereotypical things that were taking place in some of the other Housewives franchises, like on Real Housewives of Dallas with the Mexican comments from Leanne, like Luann from Real Housewives of New York dressing up as blackface, and some of the other incidents that have taken place. So although a lot of these articles are specifically identifying Kim Zolciak-Biermann, there are other things that are identified in this lawsuit. And here's the thing that I want to speak to, because there seems to be mixed reviews about this lawsuit. Some people think it's a waste of time, and other people see, after reading through a lot of the documents, that they see that a lot of things that Nene has to say is valid. This also explains why Kandi kept putting Kandi's name in her mouth instead of promoting her show. OMG. But the timing is hilarious, because keep in mind, you guys, the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 14 premieres in a couple of weeks, and they are doing everything they can to make you watch and do all this promo that has never taken place before. And it's very convenient as well with all of the stuff that's happening with Nene, that all of a sudden we had 3 Black Housewives spinoffs back to back to back, and that's never happened in the history of Bravo, you guys. We started with Portia's spinoff, Portia Family Matters, and then we are in Kandi and the Gang, and now we have Karen Huger. That has never taken place. So it kind of reminds me, not sure whether or not you guys follow the NFL, but there is somebody who is suing the NFL for also racial discrimination, because the NFL has a Rooney Rule where you're supposed to interview, and also hire Black coaches, and the issue is there's not that many Black coaches across the NFL, and specifically not that many Black head coaches. There are different assistant coaches and defensive coaches and things. And so it was funny, because in the middle of this lawsuit, the NFL decided that they were going to make it a requirement that, all of these Black people now all of a sudden have to be interviewed, have to be hired, and this and that, to try to make it look like they're not racist. And that's what I kind of feel like this onslaught of Black Housewives getting spinoffs or getting TV specials and everything else back to back to back like this. I feel like they're trying to make it look like, hey, we're pushing Kandi and having her do all this press. We've pushed 3 spinoffs featuring 3 Black Housewives, so there's no way that we're racist. And instead of acknowledging what the fundamental issues are, I feel as though there's blame to go on both sides. I know a lot of people are saying, well, Nene wasn't complaining when she was getting a check and this and that, and it's like, I see both sides of that in terms of, if you felt that strongly. But it sounds like in some of the instances she has spoken out when these events actually happened. It was just a matter of no action was actually taken. And it just seemed as though people got rewarded. Kind of with a similar breath of Ramona Singer and Real Housewives of New York. There's been tons every season of different racial undertones and stereotypes that she has of people, and nothing happens to her. So, there's a lot to unpack with this. I think ultimately Nene simply wants to work at other networks. I don't know at this point if she even wants to go back to Bravo. I do think a last-ditch effort, and this is just my theory, this isn't based off of any, personal information or sources or what have you, but the way things were sounding when Nene was putting out there that she would like to have a conversation with Andy Cohen and everything else, after her husband had died and everything, I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe this is like a last-ditch effort that Nene is seeing to potentially get back on the show. And I think also she was behind the scenes possibly talking to some of the current housewives, such as Marlo and others, to see if they would campaign to get Nene back for season 15. Because as you guys know, not Andy Cohen, Andy Cohen has been vocal in terms of wanting Cynthia and Portia to return, and that the door is never closed for them to turn, to ever come back to the franchise and things. And I think, at this point, I just think there's just been too much that has happened. And I do think, if there were other opportunities that Nene had, I don't think that this lawsuit would be happening, right? Because why would you put that you're blacklisted unless you have tried to pitch certain things at other networks and they don't want to touch you? If Andy Cohen is, calling up these other networks and saying, hey, don't hire Nene, don't work with Nene, that's affecting her bad at the end of the day. And so, but I hope a valuable lesson is learned from this, that like, you cannot, get too comfortable in any position, no matter how much money you are making for a company. At some point in time, if they feel the need that they can get rid of you and dispose of you, they will do so. And that's why I'm a little curious as to Kandi, because, they are doing an obvious rebrand of wanting to usher in a lot more younger housewives and a lot more cheaper housewives. And they were starting with the OGs, in terms of, picking off all of the highest paid, with the exception of like Teresa and the exception of Kyle Richards, who's been need to get off of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and everything else. Boy, it's examples like that to where you could obviously see that there was an agenda to phase out the OGs and bring in people for cheaper, get rid of some of the highest paid people, regardless. But there's also been incidents on Nene's side as well. Right? Her issues with production, the famous fight that she got into when they were, trying to go into her closet. I think she busted up somebody's teeth or something. And, there's been times, of course, with the contract negotiations where it's obvious there was some type of suspension, or she wasn't allowed to film, obviously, until the contracts and things were set in stone. I think she has a case. I know some people don't think she has a case, but I do think she has a case in that it is a toxic work environment. And that it has got to the point to where people now are kind of just conforming to whatever to just keep a job. What happens is the social media backlash is what ruins all of this, right? So I'm just wondering how Bravo execs are going to, affect this, because when Nene was telling people to boycott Bravo, the ratings were going down when she said that. So it's going to be very interesting in light of this lawsuit right before, the season 14 premieres of Atlanta, if people are going to continue the boycott in support of Nene, because I always felt that, the longer end game if Nene didn't go the lawsuit route, was that the ratings would be so bad season 14, no matter how much promo, no matter how much they're hyping up the season, to where they would ask Nene to come back or ask Portia to come back or whoever, which would validate, some of her claims that the show's not the same without her and all this and that. And here's the thing, whether you like Nene or not, she's entertaining. She gives you amazing one-liners. I think where Nene went wrong is a couple of areas. I think she, number one, should have never left the show. She should have stayed on the show with Kandi as she had all these opportunities, right? As she had to go do Glee, as she went to go do Chicago or Broadway, and then she was in the Cirque du Soleil thing at Las Vegas. I think Nene should have never left, right? Because then you are basically setting up, that, oh, you don't need the show anymore. You can launch all this stuff on your own, as instead of keeping a steady check all this time, but then leveraging that to get opportunities while you're still on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think Nene, at one point in time, maybe thought she was too big for Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I think that ultimately did her in, and it ultimately had to humble her when she has had to come back to the show. But I think there's just been so much turmoil behind the scenes. And I think once Andy, once you're on his list and he no longer cares about you, he is going to make it known, he's going to be rude to you. He's going to be disrespectful to you. He's going to tell people stuff behind the scenes. He's going to be even more messy than what he was previously. And this is a complete change from the dynamic that Andy and Nene used to have. Remember all the time she was on Watch What Happens Live? Remember their old dynamic, you guys? Like, they were close at one point. And there's like a lot of things that, you know, Nene has contributed. There's a lot of suggestions that they have implemented because of Nene. First and foremost, having a reunion show, having the Watch What Happens Live show. So there's been a lot of things that Nene has suggested and people have ended up implementing because of her. So she has amazing ideas to, you know, which really kind of brought the Housewives franchise to a whole nother cultural phenomenon, because it's Real Housewives of Atlanta that was the #1 franchise out of all of them forever. So I understand her issues in that there's been so much that, you know, she's been throughout her time at Bravo. For her to feel like at this point that they're just, you know, disrespecting her like this, it feels like a slap in the face. But I feel like there's just too much bad blood at this point for Nene to ultimately ever go back to Bravo or ever go back to Real Housewives Atlanta. I really think the purpose of this lawsuit is so that Nene can work for other networks and so that Andy Cohen can stop the slander. I think that's really the core of the issue, is whatever is being said behind the scenes to these other networks to where Nene can't get certain gigs. Because I don't know if you guys know, but the rumor was Nene was actually, instead of Cynthia, was actually supposed to be on Celebrity Big Brother season 3 this past season. And the reason that they gave, allegedly, was they felt that Cynthia Bailey was, quote, more family friendly. And also, Allison Gardner didn't know New York, didn't know Tiffany Pollard outside of her when she was on like the UK show, wasn't familiar with Flavor Flav and I Love New York and Flavor of Love and all that stuff. So basically lowballed her in money because she didn't take the time to research. So it's things like that to where it kind of comes full circle, and it's like, yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not Nene is family friendly, because they had no problems casting Tamar and casting Lolo Jones and others who had no problems turning up if need be on the show. I think a call was made that, hey, don't hire her, hire Cynthia instead, or something along those lines. And that's why we're here. But it would be a miracle if Nene ever ended up back at Bravo. But I think, like with Mariah suing, that pretty much, you know, completely severs the ties. And I feel at this point, it's more about, you know, getting whatever settlement. Because I would imagine Bravo wouldn't want this trial to go on and on and on, and then have different, you know, housewives take the stand and have to, you know, be transparent about what behind the scenes stuff is happening and what behind the scenes things that they have witnessed and chose not to say or do anything about it because they wanted to keep their job or they didn't want to ruffle any feathers. Or some of them were complicit if they felt the same way. So this could get very interesting. I imagine that Bravo would want to settle, because this is everywhere now, right? All of the major news outlets are picking this up. And this is another thing that speaks to the power of Nene Leakes, you guys. Whether you like her or not, she's been trending so much these past few months. It's been incredible. Anytime that anything is going on with these other housewives, Nene is mentioned, all of her memes continue to go viral and everything else, and it just really shows the impact that she has, whether you like her or not. It's unfortunate that she felt she was too big for Real Housewives of Atlanta at one point in time, and it started to negatively affect how she interacted with her coworkers on the show. But I think, you know, she's kind of realized some of the mistakes and some of the things that have happened. But at this point, she probably just wants to get on another show similar to Real Housewives of Atlanta, just on another network, but just to stop the negative, you know, stop the negative talk behind her back and stop people trying to prevent her from get her back. So I think that's really the root of this. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Nene has a chance to win this lawsuit? Or do you think that Bravo is going to settle with her? Or what do you guys think is going to happen? I definitely think, you know, there is cases to be made for both sides. So this could get very interesting because there's a lot of toxic, racist work environment things that have happened on the show. And that's just the things that only we know about. We don't even know about all the behind the scenes stuff. So there's definitely a case. It's just a matter of how this is going to be handled. And because I think at this point, Andy Cohen and Bravo probably thought that Nene was just bluffing. Because this has been a long time coming, but I feel like this is her last ditch effort, because maybe she was hoping, okay, maybe I can get back on Real Housewives, or maybe I can get back on a competing network and create my own type of housewife show. But since that didn't happen, and since the rumor is, people are, talking mess about her behind the scenes, preventing her from getting on these other networks, I feel like she had to do this in order to have that opportunity to work for other places. And I know she has the BET College Hill spinoff, but I mean your major networks, you guys. I mean your major networks that is pushing your Love and Hip Hops, your Black Ink Crew, like your big time reality shows that are on other networks, your Love and Marriage, Huntsville, and so forth. That is what Nene wants, ultimately, is to star in her own show on another network that, is popular among the fans. And I feel like this is the catalyst for that. Had it not been, we wouldn't have had this lawsuit. So there is that. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.